First at 4, a commuter nightmare on I-94. Dozens of cars involved in this pileup. We have an update on the cleanup and a look at that possible cause. Hi, Ben.
Karen, that snow still on the radar even as we get into the evening hours tonight. Is this going to be with us for the entire weekend?
And why would anyone do this at the zoo? This viral video is sparking outrage this afternoon. We'll show you more in Trending Stories.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, this is something that we see too often on Michigan roads, a multi-car chain reaction crash. Now, in this case, the situation could have been much worse. Dozens of cars are damaged, but luckily no serious injuries. This happened in Jackson County. Westbound I-94 was closed for a few hours near Mount Hope Road while the damaged cars were removed. Our Larry Spruill takes us to the scene.
We're here on Interstate 94 westbound heading into Chicago. Take a look. Things are a mess out here. You can see several tow trucks out here as well as they are loading the cars involved in this accident. Now, police say about 40 to 50 cars are involved here in this accident. Take a look at the chopper video that we have here as well. Now, police say that a snow squall came out of nowhere.
Driver speed, following distance, and weather all kind of play a role here, which I think is what we have today. I do know that this weather system came upon us quite suddenly. For instance, in Jackson, when this call came in, it was only lightly snowing. When we got out here, it was almost zero visibility. So that kind of stuff does happen in Michigan. You got to slow down. You got to give yourself a little bit of room, reduce your speed.
As you can see, traffic is moving very slowly. But the good news is there are no fatalities or no serious injuries. We'll have more coming up at 5. Reporting on Interstate 94 westbound, I'm Larry Spruill, Local 4.
Meantime, tricky weather conditions can pop up at a moment's notice on Michigan's roads, as we know. So let's get to Ben Bailey for more on that part of the story. Ben.
Yeah, Karen, you heard that officer say that it was only lightly snowing in Jackson. We checked the visibility, 5 miles there, 9 miles in Ann Arbor. Those are the 2 closest reporting stations. But you can see that snow squall heading towards 94 and watch it just envelop Grass Lake Township there close to the Washtenaw County border. It wasn't huge, but it was intense and obviously enough to cause some serious damage out there earlier this morning. Now let's fast forward to current radar, and we've still got snow showers out there. Most of this is light stuff, but you can see it's a little bit more intense down here once you get south of 94. These don't look like really intense squalls, but definitely could put down some very minor accumulations as those roll through. Otherwise, temperatures rising as we get into the weekend, looking at 38 Saturday, 40 on Sunday. Still, though, those are below average temperatures for this time of year. We do have a pretty decent warm up later in the 7-day forecast, and we'll look at that in minutes. Karen.
All right. Thank you, Ben. The search for these missing police and firefighter uniforms was some big news all morning long. Well, now questions about the suspects responsible. The uniforms were taken when 2 vans were stolen from Perfect Cleaners on Detroit's west side. The clothes belonged to officers in Farmington Hills and Novi. There were concerns the missing uniforms could be used by fake officers, but the clothes were found dumped on the street about a mile away from the dry cleaner. The vans are still missing. New at 5:30, police now think the suspect behind this crime might be connected to others. An update at 5:30. We're following breaking news. We've got a hostage situation at the nation's largest veterans home. Authorities say a gunman has taken at least 3 people hostage at the veterans home in Yountville, which is just north of San Francisco. There are reports of at least 1 shot fired, but right now no injuries. We are monitoring this very active situation and will bring you updates as they become available. It's the summit many thought would never happen, but now President Trump is preparing to meet with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. The entire world is trying to figure out if the meeting between these 2 unpredictable leaders will actually promote peace. Devin Scillian is in the newsroom sorting through reaction. And Devin, this is a high-stakes move.
Boy, you'd have to say that, Karen. Stakes really don't get much higher. No U.S. president has ever met with a leader of North Korea before. It is the highest level of diplomacy possible, and if things don't go well, you'd assume there's very little room left for negotiation, if any. But the surprise announcement came yesterday from South Korean officials who delivered an invitation from Kim Jong-un to the president, and the president accepted. The hope is that this meeting will take place by the end of May. Now, there are a lot of details to be worked out. Where will the meeting take place? That's an enormous issue. What kind of issues will be on the table? What kind of issues will be off the table? Right now, though, U.S. sanctions are going to stay in place against North Korea. Experts are a bit divided on whether this summit is a good idea in the first place. Former North Korean envoy Bill Richardson supports the idea, but says the summit has to be approached very carefully.
I am concerned that the president is going to start tweeting the fire and fury might come back, the little rocket man. I think it's important that we prepare, that we let a negotiating team led by the State Department, Department of Defense, set up some goals.
He says that because Richardson believes this is the right time for the two leaders to meet. President Trump has put out a tweet since then saying great progress is being made. We'll have to see if that progress leads to results. So obviously a lot more to come, Karen. Imagine these are two world leaders who have never really been in this kind of situation before. They'll be making it up really as they go along. It's going to be fascinating.
Very. All right. Thank you very much, Devin. Well, there are some new developments in the case against Nicholas Cruz. He is the 19-year-old accused of killing 17 students and teachers in Parkland, Florida. Today, he appeared on a video conference for a bond hearing on those charges against him. The judge ordered him held without bond. The public defender says Cruz is willing to plead guilty to avoid the death penalty, but prosecutors have not accepted that offer. The Parkland shooting is shining a bright spotlight on mental health issues. Today, we have the story of one family's frustration as they try to care for a loved one. Our Paula Tutman shows us their emotional journey and why they feel they're caught in a vicious, possibly dangerous cycle.
This is your typical all-American family being tortured by someone they love because that loved one is sick. It is not a sickness that can be fixed like a broken bone. For them, this sickness can't be paid away, policed away, or prayed away. Their loved one is mentally ill.
He got hit by a car back in '05. You know, I noticed a difference in behavior. I decided to make an appointment with a neurologist. They diagnosed him with schizophrenic and bipolar.
For the better part of 20 years, Brenda Sanders has struggled to get help for her son.
He still would, you know, lash out. He would kick in doors.
As you can see right here.
And, you know, and he would jump on his sister.
He just came and charged at me. Literally charged at me and pinned me up against the refrigerator.
It seems like we kind of exhausted, you know, all of our resources and stuff when it came to like trying to get some help for my brother.
For 20 years, they've watched their loved one run the hamster wheel of options. When he's committed, he's released. When he's arrested, he's released. When police told mom to get a restraining order, they realized he's mentally ill and not likely to pay attention to a restraining order.
He's being failed, but we are too. You know, he's being failed because he can't get the proper treatment that he needs. But we are being failed as a family that, you know, actually want to help before it escalates to something else.
At the Oakland County Health Network, experts in mental health admit that the system of care is complicated. One size does not fit all. And if families are struggling with mental illness, step one is to find an advocate or mental health authority to get expert navigation to find available resources.
The system looks like an onion, but individuals' lives are like an onion. So it does look very individual at times.
But keep in mind that whether or not you're using public or private funds, there is not enough funding out there that may give families long-term options they want.
There is an underfunded system. Someone can have other insurance, but their benefit plan is limited. Someone may reach their maximum days that Medicare, for instance, will pay.
In the final analysis, while it might be easy to say that mental health has to be addressed in this society, finding the right address is very difficult to navigate. Paula Tutman, Local 4.
So very true, Paula. Now, no matter what community you live in, there is likely a mental health authority. If you have a troubled loved one, start there to get expert help in navigating what your loved one needs and how to get and maximize those services. A new tribute has been unveiled to the late business leader, Art Van Elslander. The 50-foot by 50-foot banner is on the side of the Art Van warehouse in Warren. He passed away at the age of 87 a few weeks ago. Van Elslander was a huge community leader, providing jobs and helping to save the Thanksgiving parade. The banner says it all very simply. Thank you, Mr. Van. Let's talk good health coming up. Springing forward can be downright painful for some of you. We'll talk about that, why many people need to be extra careful during the time change. Also, take a close look at this video. Can you tell what this orangutan is doing? Look close. I'll tell you why this viral video is causing outrage all around the world. Up first, a former Trump advisor's public meltdown grabbed the national spotlight this week. His connection to the Russian investigation and how his flip-flopping came to an end.
The story.
First at 4, we're on top of the stories making headlines all across America. We start with a former Trump campaign worker who grabbed his 15 minutes of fame earlier this week. You may have heard about Sam Nunberg's very public threats that he would not testify before the Robert Mueller grand jury. Well, today he did show up to the district court in Washington, D.C. Nunberg was a political advisor to President Trump, fired back in 2015 after racially charged comments were found on his personal Facebook page. The special counsel has subpoenaed Nunberg's emails, texts, and other documents related to the Trump presidential campaign. Hundreds of thousands of people are still without power right now after back-to-back winter storms in the Northeast. Downed trees, transformer explosions, and live wires across the Northeast have led to at least 2 deaths. Cleanup crews and power companies are working around the clock to try to rid the dangerous conditions. Unfortunately, they are not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel just yet, as a 3rd storm is expected to hit early next week. In good health, this weekend it is time to spring forward and move our clocks ahead. While many of us look forward to more daylight, the time change can be a real headache for some. The switch to daylight saving time means more than a lost hour of sleep for many who struggle with migraines.
A lot of migraine sufferers usually will have a little bit of sleep deprivation, or their sleep is affected by this change, so they'll see an increase in headache frequency during that period.
Cleveland Clinic doctor Ahmed Estamalik says the time change can be a trigger for cluster headaches too. Part of the problem is this is already a challenging time for headaches. Research suggests weather-related changes like sudden drops in temperature or barometric pressure may impact certain receptors in the brain, triggering that all too familiar pain. While you can't avoid the weather or the time change, experts say avoid any additional triggers.
A lot of patients know that certain beverages, certain food can cause the headaches or increase their headache frequency. So maybe around that time, if you know that such a storm is coming, or weather changes are coming, or the time change is coming, try to modify all your triggers.
The doctor says if the time change usually triggers a headache, you may want to consider taking melatonin briefly to help regulate your sleep cycle. Make sure, though, to check with your doctor first if you're taking other medications.
So do I need to put a trigger warning on the forecast? It's not good.
I know. I just kept thinking like, oh, by mid-March, it's just we're going to be done, but we're not done.
When we thought we were done, we're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still have some snow to go this evening. The question is, how much longer is this stuff going to hold on? Because it just does not want to leave. It's not intense. It's not really adding accumulations all that much. It's more of a nuisance than anything. Good majority of the metro zone coming up clear right now, but we still have some light snow in our west zone. And it looks like some of the heavier pockets, or at least more moderate pockets, are showing up down here in our south zone, northern sections of Lenawee and Monroe County. So these may be affecting 75 here. And there's a little bit of a breeze to go along with it as well. We talked about visibility, how that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, but at least at Grosse Ile down to 1.7 miles. So likely a little bit more of a moderate snow shower there. But for most of the area, this stuff is not really accumulating. It has stacked up in several places, including Yale, where we've got 2 Yorkies and a snow Yorkie. Not to scale, of course. They built a big old snow dog up there and sent us that pic on Storm Pin. So appreciate that. We do have some sunshine breaking out from the clouds here in downtown Detroit, but officially at the airport, snow in 32. And we've got that wind chill, which is 21 right now. Temperatures tonight getting very cold. We'll look at that in your 4-zone forecast here in a minute, but let's talk snow. It looks like it is finally going to wrap up tonight. I know we've said that before more than once, but you can see what the model is showing us at least. By the time we get into the 7 o'clock hour past sunset, there's probably still going to be a couple random flurries or maybe a snow shower around. Those should be gone by about 10 o'clock tonight. And then after that, not only do we dry out, but we also get rid of some of the clouds as drier air moves in. So by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we should see a decent amount of sunshine. There will be afternoon clouds, and that could spark up a flurry, maybe a light snow shower, but it is not for everybody. Most of us are going to stay dry, and we will all stay dry on Sunday with slightly warmer temperatures as well. And that's good news considering where we're going tonight. Temperatures, at least in the metro zone, are going to be able to hold on to 20 here in the city, but you can already start to see some of those teens in our northern suburbs by tomorrow morning for those lows. South zone lows down to 17 out in Lenawee County, 19 closer to the lake. West zone a little bit colder, especially up in Genesee County, where we're looking at 16 in Flint, 16 also in Clarkston, and those numbers down 17, 18 closer to Michigan Avenue. North of M59, it's all teens here too, mid-teens, anywhere between 16 in Sandusky and 18 in Rochester Hills. The winds are going to be light, so the wind chill's not much lower than those air temperatures, but they'll be hovering around 10 degrees as how it's going to feel tomorrow morning. Sunshine helps us out. Again, just a slight possibility of a flurry in the afternoon. High temperatures 38. That's below average for this time of year. We will hit 40 on Sunday, but look at these numbers next week. 46 Thursday and 53 by Friday, and with sunshine, Karen. So hard to beat that this time of year.
I like it a lot. All right, think about it. Still ahead, a St. Patrick's Day tradition is under fire. Is there too much kissing going on at this parade? We're going to take a look in Trending Stories. First, a viral video sparks outrage. Animal rights activists do not like what they're seeing, and this video might speak to a larger problem. We'll be right back. But first, as we go to break, here is a look at how the markets have closed for your Friday. In today's Trending Stories, animal rights activists, I should say, are outraged over the video that you are about to see. It's kind of hard to believe someone would do this. A visitor to a zoo in Indonesia flicked a lit cigarette right there into the orangutan enclosure. Well, take a look. A 22-year-old orangutan then was able to pick up that cigarette and then started smoking. Yes, right there. No surprise, the video going viral. Critics say the zoo needs better security. The zoo's staff says the guard may have been taking a break. Signs are posted warning people to not give the animals food or cigarettes. This zoo has been under pressure to close after questions about animal care.
You've got to wonder how it learned to do that.
Well, see, it's that whole thing about being similar to...
I mean, they must have seen it, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And obviously it must be an issue if they're saying don't throw cigarettes in there.
Probably not the first time it's happened.
That's right, Ben. Now let's talk a little bit about St. Patrick's Day and a tradition that's really getting a lot of attention. They do not like exactly what's going on down in Savannah, Georgia. The Army says there is too much kissing going on at the annual parade. Now, for decades, women have been running up to the soldiers who march in the parade and then kissing them on the cheek. Look, just like that. Well, in fact, they wear bright red lipstick, so the soldiers' cheeks are stained with lip prints. Now the Army says that makes the soldiers look unprofessional, and it is asking women to stop the kissing. Parade organizers also say the tradition causes safety concerns. You know, if they're going to ask the women to stop kissing, you know, that's just going to make it worse.
Yep, we're going to have more lipstick stains on
More lipstick stains. All right, we are honoring more standouts for local high school sports, and there are winners in our 4 Frenzy Fan Choice Awards. Martha Dawson of Grosse Pointe South is getting kudos for her competitive cheerleading. Congrats to Ryan Camilleri of Carlson is Best Swim Team Coach. Nina Tranchito, and I apologize, Nino, if I pronounced your name wrong, of Anchor Bay is the favorite sophomore wrestler, and Isabella Lorelli of Ladywood is the favorite hockey goalie. You can find the complete list of winners at clickondetroit.com. Congratulations to all of the winners. Still ahead, proceed with caution. How do you rescue an angry raccoon stuck in a tight spot? 2 things made this job a little easier. The story's next.
This woman was born to be her own boss.
I was always that one who showed up to school with a duffel bag selling juice and candy to classmates.
A family recipe gave her the perfect product to sell. Her entrepreneurial spirit gave her the courage to do it the right way.
I had to look fear in the face and said, never again will you sell tea from the trunk of your car.
How she went from selling in a parking lot to manufacturing in a warehouse. What we can all learn from her sweet tea success story tonight at 11.
Hi, I'm
Finally, First at 4, rescuing a wild animal can be a little tricky.
Yeah, especially when that animal is an angry raccoon. Take a look at the situation facing animal control officers in San Francisco, no pun intended. They found a raccoon with its head stuck in a generator on a City College campus. At first, he was just too agitated and kept thrashing around. Eventually, the animal was sedated, and they used some baby oil to slip him out. After he was checked out, the raccoon was released back into the wild. Who knew baby oil could work? Again, something that they probably have done before.
Exactly.
So, wow.
Thanks so much for joining us for First at 4. We will be back at a half hour with Local 4 News at 5. Inside Edition's next. Have a good weekend.